Boxing Fanatico Live episode 14. Now, hold on. Why is my comments not popping out? Hold on. We're going to make these pop out real quick. Here we go. Adrian Jones starting us off with what's up, Fanatico. 200K buys is what he deserves for that fight. We not seeing him. We're not paying to see him fight the best. Yes, but even with him not having a dancing partner, those numbers still have some major implications. So now let me go ahead and make sure we got Hashim in here, of course. Let's go, champ. So now that we got a few guys in here, we got 8 people right now watching. Guys, hit the like if you haven't. We only have 1 like up. Come on, guys. This is what helps grow the channel. Hit the like if you haven't hit the like. I know it's not your fault, though. Sometimes you just forget. You're inside. You're in here. You want to have fun. You want to talk about the fights and stuff. I get it. But come on, man. Let's hit the like, man. Let's get the likes up. You know what I'm saying? Let's get the likes up real quick. Likes up. There we go. Now I'm seeing it go up. Thank you so much, guys. And Hashim, thank you for being in here. Sin City, what up, Fanatico? It might be a little off topic. What do you think about the Loma-Haney fight? Still not giving my prediction for that one. My prediction for that one, officially, I will do it on Friday. So officially, on Friday, you guys will know my prediction for Loma versus Haney, which I'm super excited about. I cannot wait for this fight. But yes, Friday I will do my prediction. That way I could talk about the weigh-in and all that stuff. And it's all nice and, wrapped up in a nice little package. So Friday, stay tuned. 7 p.m. Eastern time on Friday. We're going to have the prediction, the exclusive Fanatico prediction on who I think is going to win between Loma and Devin Haney. I think it could also be these greedy pay-per-view streams like DAZN. Horrible experience with the last. Okay, all right, let's see. What do you think of what? My man's is trying to sneak you know what I'm saying? Trying to sneak a question in. We don't answer questions about Undisputed, guys. So unfortunately, won't answer that. Not on this channel. We answer all those questions on their social media channels, on their platform. So definitely. If you see me on Undisputed, I'm going to be talking about it on Undisputed. But for here, Box Fanatico, we're going to be talking about in real life boxing. All right, I'm telling you, Camelot is not Duncan Benavidez. He just isn't worthy yet. He has hype, but not enough of a worthy resume. He can't step on everyone's toes and fight the best. I wonder why people say that, because it's like, you have to be thinking in a very, now, first of all, I respect anyone's opinion, even you, Big Cello 96. I'm not trying to diminish what your perception is of what's going on with Canelo or, his opponents. But then why is it that he could fight somebody like Ryder, and that's okay, but then he can't fight somebody like Benavides? It's like, why does Benavides get put on this different place where it's like he's not ready, but a Ryder is ready when Ryder is less ready than a Benavides, in my opinion. Now, he might have to go ahead and fight Benavides now because of those pay-per-view numbers. Now, the pay-per-view numbers are reported numbers, so there's not anything concrete that we have to say 100%, hey, look, these are the numbers, right? It was a gentleman by the name of Rick Glaser, who is a international agent, broker, and consultant, International Boxing Hall of Fame elector, 4-decade career boxing guy, right? So he got some inside scoop. So we got some data from him, or maybe some inside scoop from him. But if we switch over, you'll see here, he writes, the Canelo pay-per-view barely broke 200,000 pay-per-view buys. That's a big reflection of the DAZN consumer fallout with the Davis Garcia technical problems in regards to payment and some actually not being able to view it. All right, now I'm not going to finish reading that because this looks like he's talking about the technical elements of DAZN, and I truly don't believe that that was the issue. I do think that, yeah, if there were technical problems, they 100% should have fixed it. But I think the main issue was people really did not even know that Canelo was fighting. I have a friend who I wouldn't call him a casual. He's above casual, right? He knows about Devin Haney versus Loma. He can't wait for that. He was picking Oscar Valdez to beat Shakur, which is crazy, but we can't all think straight, right? But anyways, that's besides the point. Besides the point. The fact is, he knows Oscar Valdez. He knows Shakur. He knows Devin Haney and Loma. He knows Teofimo Lopez. He knows Kambosos. He knows all those guys. He knows Tank. He knows Ryan Garcia. He 100% knows Canelo. And when I played the fight, because I went to a family event, but I had it on DAZN on my phone and I put it on their TV. And of course, they allowed me to, watch the fight with them there. When he's like, I didn't even know Canelo was fighting. It wasn't promoted. There was no buzz really behind it. It was more pushing the whole Canelo homecoming than it was actually pushing the pay-per-view itself. So I think it did somewhat a little bit above 200,000 pay-per-view buys simply because barely anyone knew about it. But now here's the crazy thing. This is less numbers. Y'all ready for this? This is less numbers than Tank without a dance partner. So now, what is this conversation that we're having about who's the face of boxing? Where has the conversation ended up? Because now it's looking more and more and more and more every day that Tank is the new face of boxing. Tank just cracked 1.2 million pay-per-view buys with Ryan Garcia, right? Without Ryan Garcia, he was cracking like 240,000 pay-per-view buys, right? 220,000 pay-per-view buys. Canelo versus Ryder did almost 200 or just a little bit above 200,000 buys. Canelo needs a dance partner ASAP. And here's the scarier thing. Burp too, because that's salsa water, man. Give me a break. What if he gets a dance partner and he doesn't do anything north of 500 to 600,000 pay-per-views? That's scary. That's scary. At that point, there is no question. I'm seeing people saying, hey, look, Tank is the face of boxing because, Canelo's the face of boxing because he did 2-point-something million with Floyd Mayweather. What? By that logic, I could just say Floyd Mayweather's the face of boxing because he did 4-point-something million with Manny Pacquiao. So Floyd Mayweather the face of boxing. We can't go back into the prehistoric age to, you know what I'm saying? Muhammad Ali is the face of boxing because he technically did more pay-per-views than anybody in history. My man did about 300, almost 300 million pay-per-views for the Thriller in Manila. All right, so he's the face of boxing. Muhammad Ali is the face of boxing. We can't go back 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, and look at who the face of boxing is based on their pay-per-view numbers. We got to look at the face of boxing is not who did the most pay-per-views at one time. The face of boxing is who is the guy that everyone wants to watch now. Who's the face of boxing today? It's hard to argue that it isn't Tank Davis. It's just simply very difficult to argue just because of the fact that the pay-per-view numbers are the barometer for who people are willing to pay money for. For Tank to be able to pull 1.2 million, even with Ryan Garcia, in an age where piracy is super high, where people are figuring out different ways to pirate pay-per-views where they didn't have access to these things before. I mean, it's pretty crazy. And even if you look at the split between how much was on Showtime versus how much was on DAZN still was doing like 400,000 pay-per-view buys off of the Ryan versus Tank fight, which is double just on people buying it on DAZN, which means they already had a subscription. Like the path to entry on that is super difficult in comparison to Showtime. And then people still bought it there. And then over 400,000 people, that means those are people that are boxing fans that are subscribed to DAZN, and yet they couldn't even move those people who are paying monthly on DAZN to buy the pay-per-view for Canelo versus Ryder. That is very telling. That is very, very telling. In my opinion, these numbers are a little bit worrisome. They're a little bit worrisome, and I implore Canelo, and I know he probably won't watch this, right? This is for you guys more than anything. He probably won't watch this. Hold on, let me go. I'm gonna finish that statement, but let me look at the comment section real quick. Didn't get to watch the Canelo fight. Maybe if he was fighting a proper high level opponent, might explain why the pay-per-views were so low. Nobody cared. Look at that. And you guys love boxing, right? Sin City, you love boxing. I know you've seen a Tank fight, right? I know you want to watch the Loma fight, but you ain't see the Canelo fight. That's not good. Good point. What's your favorite Mexican boxer of all time? Love your channel. By the way, been watching since back in ESBC video days. My favorite Mexican boxer of all time is Juan Manuel Marquez. Now, when I say that, people are like, what? It isn't about who I think is the best, right? I think the best of all time is Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., right? But the best... And I think Canelo's kind of the second best, or they're close, because Canelo, you know, became undisputed in the 4-belt era, never been done before by a Mexican fighter. So I think that's super cool. But he's done really good. He has a really good resume, Canelo. But Juan Manuel Marquez had a style that was so different from everybody else in terms of the Mexican boxing. And he was from Mexico, yet he had this really good counterpuncher style. Always gave Manny Pacquiao trouble. Beat Manny Pacquiao and during Manny Pacquiao's heyday, knocked him out cold. So you can't even, I don't know. Juan Manuel Marquez beat Juan Baby Bull Diaz, when Juan Baby Bull Diaz was on the rise doing his thing. He's a beast, man. He's a beast. He's a really good fighter. And I think that to me, I've always like had a thing for Juan Manuel Marquez in terms of like the Mexican fighter that I love to see. Plus, I like fighters who are counterpunchers. He found a way to be a counterpuncher and also be aggressive in a very unique way. That's my guy right there. That's my guy. Hey, Fanatico, sorry about the undisputed questions. All good, brother. I have an actual question now. What do you think about the weight cutting in boxing? I personally see it as a big problem. It's been a part of boxing for a long time. You have to regulate the weight of these fighters to some degree. There's going to be people that are going to try to manipulate it a little bit. One person that comes to mind more than anybody is Antonio. What's this guy? Damn, I forgot the dude's name that had the plaster of Paris. Antonio Margarito. There we go. Antonio Margarito was really big for the welterweight division, but he would drain himself so much and then, rehydrate and giving himself an advantage. So a lot of people are always going to take advantage of these things, but you have to have something to protect fighters in terms of weight. So there has to be some weight kind of discrepancy. So weight cutting is an inevitable element to boxing, because if you're at a walk-around weight, you're not going to want to fight at that walk-around weight. You're going to want to lose a little bit more weight so you could be at an advantage, because everyone else is doing that. Because your walk-around, you're not going to rehydrate that much. And those who are cutting really low, they're going to rehydrate a lot, so they're going to have an advantage over you. It's this weird thing that people kind of manipulate in that way, but I think this is the best system that we have until we figure out a better system. But I think this is the best system in my opinion. But definitely don't like weigh-ins on the same night where you're forced to weigh in a certain weight on the same night. I like weigh-ins, at least give them a day to rehydrate, because that's important. I want to see that. I want to see what Tank does in his next fight. But yeah, I got him as a face of boxing. Me too. Me too. And after these numbers, it's hard to argue that. Hugh the Dev. Why'd you change it back to the Dev? Why you keep changing your name, bro? It's like you keep changing your name back and forth. But Hugh the Dev, man, it's good to see you, brother. It's good to see you. Canelo's on the Forbes list as top highest paid athlete in the world. AJ's the only other boxer on that list. Those are real cash cows and faces of the sport. Tank, a 1.5 million boxer who did 60K without Ryan. Who did 60K in terms of what? Because he did 240K without Ryan against Rolly Romero. He did about 220,000 pay-per-view without with what was this dude's name? I forgot. The other Garcia guy. I forgot his name, but he did it with the Garcia guy that he fought on, the Dominican guy that he fought in January. So I don't know, man. See, people keep dipping into the past, right? And the Forbes list is basing, we're early in this year. They're not really basing it off of what he's done this year. They're basing it off of a history, right? Or the last 12 months from the moment that they took that data point, right? So I'm talking about the face of boxing right now. Hector Luis Garcia, there you go. I'm talking about the face of boxing right now. And in my opinion, I think that's Tank. And there's no knock on Canelo. I think Canelo is 100% way more accomplished than Tank Davis. I think Canelo has done way more in the sport than Tank. He's fought way more dangerous people in the sport than Tank. I mean, his fights with Gennady Golovkin, Arislandi Lara, Austin Trout, Floyd Mayweather, Kovalev, Dimitri Bivol, the list goes on. Like, he has fought so many dangerous opponents. Caleb Plant, right? He really fights. He really fights these guys. So I think he's more accomplished than Tank, but unfortunately, that's not what makes you the face of boxing. What makes you the face of boxing is, do people want to spend their hard-earned money on your pay-per-view? And if they don't want to do that, you're not the face of boxing. Now, $200K for anyone else is going to be admirable, right? Anyone other than Tank, because Tank was doing those numbers. But for Canelo, when Canelo was doing at least 600,000, right? 500,000 at least, no matter who he fought. I think this is not a good look for Canelo. But Canelo is 100% more accomplished than Tank in every way imaginable. Moving up in weight, multiple divisions, becoming undisputed, first Mexican fighter to do it in the four-belt era. Hats off to Canelo's accomplishments. They're almost unmatched in the sport right now. But unfortunately, he's just not the face of boxing, because that's not voted by your accomplishments. That's voted by the people's wallets, and usually the casual fans. If you cross over to the casual fans, which I think Tank has done, I truly believe that he has increased his baseline. I think Tank is going to now, like, let's say he fights somebody that's not a big deal, right? Let's say he does a Rolly Romero rematch, right? I truly believe that he could do like 450,000 pay-per-view buys as a baseline. Like, I think he doubled his baseline just by his crossover event. Because that's what happened with Mayweather. I mean, with Mayweather, when he did his crossover event, which was him fighting De La Hoya, before he fought De La Hoya, he was doing 320,000 pay-per-view buys. He fought De La Hoya, did 2.1 million, fought Ricky Hatton, did 1.2 million. After that, he fought Juan Manuel Marquez, he did about 1.1 million. He was doing million pay-per-view buys after he fought De La Hoya, which triggered that 2.1 million, which put Floyd Mayweather in the public eye. And then since that point, he didn't go back down to from a million. He did not drop under a million. He had multiple 2-point-something million, 4 million pay-per-view buys. He did it with Conor. He did it with Manny Pacquiao. Until he fought Andre Berto. He even got over 1.2 million with Robert the Ghost Guerrero. Like, no one thought that was going to happen, and he was able to do that even with him. So Floyd Mayweather is a perfect example of what happens once you do the crossover, and I think that Tank has done his crossover. So when he fights again, the casual fans, the thing is, casual fans don't know who to watch. It's confusing. There's too many boxers and too many belts. Once something tells them, the zeitgeist and the social proof tells them this is the guy you should watch, they don't stop watching them. They say, oh, this is my thing that I can for my boxing, so I could give him my boxing 2 cents. This is my guy that I'm gonna watch. It's Tank. So when Tank fights, I'm gonna watch. Same thing happened with Floyd. Anthony Merchant, sup, bro? What's going on, Anthony? What's up, brother? Don Davis, just like Haney does his walk around weight is 150 exactly, but he's gonna go down He's gonna go down to 135 because it just makes more sense, right? You're gonna get more out of it. You're gonna be able to rehydrate to a good weight, and that's gonna give you an advantage. But it's not like, hey, he's over here just weight billion. Everybody does it. Every single person does it. Beach Plum LaCroix. Not sponsored by them, but dang is that thing delicious. LOL, I have 2 accounts. Damn, I didn't know that, bro. It's nice to know you have 2 accounts. Now I know, but I always know who you are. You got that purple background, so I always know who you are. And it says Hugh, so I always remember. Hashim, thank you for that. I saw it as I was talking. Hugh Jakes, see, this is me again. With the purple background and the hue. See, I know it's you, man. I know it's you. Hypnotic, thank you, man. I'm using this account to post all our fights. Okay, cool, no worries. Follow up on the weight cutting question. I asked it because of the people who cut almost 50 pounds and nearly died when walking onto the scale. Of course, banned OFC banned it because a fighter died due to cutting weight. Oh, no, it is 100% not safe. It's not safe to do that. Dehydration is actually very dangerous, but it's the way that some of these guys make it to these weights. It's really up to the fighter, right? The fighter should put himself at the most comfortable weight where he can lose weight easily or not as drastically and then rehydrate normally. But that has to be up to the fighter because there's not really a way to kind of regulate that. It's very difficult to regulate that. And if they don't have a weight limit, then it's going to be dangerous for people in the sport fighting people that are too big, right? So they have to have a weight limit to protect fighters and have different divisions. But it's up to the fighter to do the right thing for his own health and choose a weight class where he can get in there much more comfortably. But people want to win and people do things, so it's a tough thing, man. Facts. Yes, Adrian Jones, thank you. Nah, the Hector fight did under 100K, and that's why LB got bashed. No, it did not. The Hector fight, I know the numbers. The Hector fight did about 210,000 pay-per-view buys. The fight that he did with Rolly Romero did about 240,000 pay-per-view buys. You should go and check the numbers because Showtime actually has to put those numbers out. They put those numbers out usually around 1 week after the fight. But those are the numbers. And that is the average. Around 200 and something pay-per-view buys was Tank's average anyway. So those are 100% the numbers that came out. I know that you wanted to be under 100K for some weird reason, but I'm telling you, go ahead and check. Right, Tank versus Hector Garcia pay-per-view numbers, and you'll see the pay-per-view numbers come up. Mike Rayburn, I'm not interested in the face of boxing. Tank has a long way to go to catch up to Canelo. Let's be real. Hey, listen, this is 2 arguments that we're doing here, Mike. There's the argument of who's the face of boxing, which is voted by people's wallets and usually the casual fans, also the crossover fans, and then there's the what have you done in the sport in terms of legacy? I don't think Tank is anywhere close to Canelo in that respect. I think Canelo is 100% above Tank in that respect. In that respect, I think Canelo is above Tank. In terms of the face of boxing, if you go to a casual right now and ask them, hey, who do you know, Canelo or Tank? They're probably going to know Tank more than Canelo right now at this moment. If you ask a young kid, I'm not talking about an older person, a young kid, they're probably going to know Tank more than Canelo, which is not a good thing because Canelo has done more in the sport, in my opinion. He should be the face of boxing. Where's Tank's 100 million contracts? Canelo and AJ been doing big numbers. Tank gets paid. Once again, you are dipping into the... Oh, man, I just dropped everything. You're dipping into the past. You have to look at what have you done for me lately. Unfortunately, boxing, you're only viewed by your recent performances. If it was about what people have done in the past, Terrence Crawford would be a beast that no one would even question what will happen between him and Errol Spence Jr. because he was undisputed at 140. But it isn't about what he did before. It's about what's happening right now. It's about what's happening right now. And unfortunately, Canelo, yes, he's done awesome stuff. He did over 2 million pay-per-view buys with Floyd Mayweather. He did over 1 million pay-per-view buys with Gennady Golovkin, but it isn't what he's doing now. It's not what he's doing now. Now he's doing 200,000 pay-per-view buys with Ryder, and that is just to me it's worrisome because I think Canelo deserves more, but it's not up to me. It's up to people who vote with their wallets. Did you buy the Ryder versus Canelo fight? Did you not pirate it and you supported it yourself? Like, I don't know. I want to know. You can make the argument that Showtime is more popular than DAZN in terms of track record and longevity, or is taken more seriously. You can make that argument. That is true. But guess what? We have the sample size or the case study of Tank versus Ryan. And on DAZN, it did around 450,000 pay-per-view buys. So even if you just isolated DAZN on its own and said, hey, look, this is how much they made, even though probably could have made more if DAZN was the only one selling it on DAZN, right? Because that would be the only place to find it legally. But even if you separate the numbers, give those numbers to Showtime that they got, and you give the numbers to DAZN, DAZN still had around 400 and something pay-per-views, 1,000 pay-per-view buys. That's still double what Canelo did. It's still double what Canelo did. And that's not good. It just isn't. Canelo is washed now. His next loss will be his last fight. Bivol or Benavidez will retire him. Interesting. I do want to see Canelo versus Benavidez. I think that Canelo needs to stay far away from Bivol, not just because Bivol is probably going to beat him again since Bivol kind of outboxed Canelo. I don't see Canelo figuring out a way to beat him. But also, I don't think the Bivol fight is going to do good pay-per-view numbers, especially after this Ryder fight. So I think that Canelo will be much more in his path to try to reclaim face of boxing, will be much better off fighting a Benavidez. He did 800 something thousand with Caleb Plant. Benavidez fought Caleb Plant, beat Caleb Plant. I think Benavidez is in that realm of a Caleb Plant in terms of star power, maybe a little bit more because he has that Spanish heritage. I think it elevates it up a little bit more, and he could cross over or touch 1 million pay-per-view buys. He can cross it, touch it, get close to it if he fights somebody like a Benavidez, in my opinion. So I think he needs to do that. Well, based off of your logic, if Tank's next 3 fights sell over 1 million buys, we'll see. Right now, he's a 2 million chump who's never headlined Vegas or cracked 200K without holding Ryan's hand. Who's never headlined Vegas. Wasn't the last fight in Vegas, or am I bugging? I think the last fight they just had with Ryan Garcia was in Vegas, and it was sold out. Unless I'm bugging, wasn't that in Vegas? That had to have been in Vegas. I might be going crazy. I don't know. I could be wrong. Could be remembering that wrong. But I thought it was in Vegas, and I thought they sold it out. And I think that they had it was the 5th largest gate in the history of that arena. Unless I'm wrong. Somebody let me know. Did they not have it in Vegas? Was it somewhere else? Tell me, guys. Casual fans are a big part of Tank's success. Most people are just bandwagon jumpers. Yeah. No, 100%. But you got to think about it, man. You really got to think about it. It doesn't matter how you, for example, Mayweather, people wanted to watch Mayweather because they wanted to see him lose. He didn't care. Mayweather didn't care. He played into that. You want to see me lose? Okay, so I'm going to be braggadocious or whatever so that you just want to see me lose even more, and you pay even more. And when I finally fight Manny Pacquiao, you're going to pay double what you paid me to what you paid to see me fight Oscar De La Hoya. You're going to pay double what you paid to see me fight Canelo Alvarez. and they paid double. They paid over 4-something million. Well, they did over 4-point-something million pay-per-view buys with Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. It doesn't really matter why people want to see you fight. It doesn't really matter. People hated Muhammad Ali. You see how loved Muhammad Ali is right now? He was the Floyd Mayweather of his era. People wanted to see that guy lose so bad. He was the bragging guy that you just wanted him to lose so that you could feel so good about yourself. He was that guy that people hated. They hated Muhammad Ali, and guess what? Now he's loved. But back then, he was hated. And guess what? He didn't care, because he was the one that infamously said, you could pay to see me lose, you could pay to see me win. The only thing that matters is that you're still paying. And I think that that's the same case with Tank. Even if he's like, oh, these aren't hardcore boxing fans, these are mostly casual boxing fans. Do you think he cares? Do you think he cares? He'd rather have casual boxing fans if actually the casual market is the more lucrative market, because you could grab the casual market and you'll be doing over 1 million pay-per-views easily all the time. Easily all the time. All fighters fight under their natural weight. All fighters fight under their natural weight? Oh, yeah, of course. All fighters do that, because why would you fight over your natural weight or within your natural weight and not be able to rehydrate when you know somebody else is going to come to that weight class but be way above that weight and then come down and then rehydrate up, and then you're going to be at a disadvantage. It's not smart. All right, hold on. Benavidez versus Morel is a better fight than Canelo. No. Benavidez versus Canelo, to me, is a better fight. That is a super fight that we want. We want that. We've been clamoring for that fight for a long time. That is actually a super fight. So I do think that that'll be an amazing thing once it happens. Like I said, this is Canelo's opportunity in September to touch or get close to about 1 million pay-per-view buys. He needs to fight Benavidez. There's no other dance partner that he can do those numbers with. Benavidez just beat Caleb Plant. It makes a lot of sense. You're like the most insightful dude I've seen talk about boxing. Hypnotic Skull, thank you so much, man. That's super awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That was a really nice thing to say. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I'm doing my best. This is how I am with my friends since like the early 2000s, right? I used to talk to them, help them learn about boxing, do all these different things. Did my videos back in 2016 where I'm breaking down how boxing fights are scored, the rules of boxing, all because I care about the fans that want to learn about the sport too. I think that's what separates me a little bit from others, is how much I care about someone who doesn't know about the sport, while most other kind of talking heads don't really care. They love putting the label on people. You're a casual, you're a casual, you're a casual. And they use the word casual as a derogatory term, and they love, kind of gatekeeping and keeping you out and feeling like they're part of this special club. While I want the sport to grow, so I actually love helping others of talking about stuff and breaking things down and exposing different elements of the sport, tactical elements of the sport, because I want people to understand the beauty of it and see why it's so beloved. And it's not just like two people punching each other in the face, even though that's entertaining, but it's more than that. All right, let's see. Canelo won't beat Bivol in a rematch. I believe he wouldn't beat him either. Anthony Merchant, what's the best boxing fight you have been to? Canelo versus Floyd Mayweather is the best boxing fight I've been to. I mean, the reason why, first of all, it's the best event I ever been to, because we got a freebie in Danny Garcia. This was when Danny Garcia was undefeated, versus Lucas Matisse. This was when Lucas Matisse was considered a monster. Videos were being made about how powerful his punches are. And that was the second biggest fight in boxing at the time. People don't remember this, but because Canelo versus Mayweather was too big, it literally was a black hole that sucked everything into it. But people don't remember this. The number 2 fight that everybody wanted to see was Danny Garcia versus Lucas Matisse, and that fight took place. So basically, it was like a 2-for-1 because I already had bought the tickets when Canelo versus Mayweather tickets went live, and then they added the Danny Garcia fight like a month later. So it was like a free fight that I didn't have to pay extra for. That's what it felt like. It felt like I got that fight for free. So that was my favorite fight that I ever attended. Went with my girlfriend at the time, who's currently my wife, and it was just a super fun experience. The whole thing was super fun. I met a bunch of boxers: Leah Santa Cruz, Keith Thurman, Maidana, J. Leon Love. I met a bunch of people in that event. It was just Abner Mares. It was awesome. It was super awesome. We were all staying at the MGM Grand. I was just a fan, but everyone was at the MGM Grand. So everyone's in the elevators, in the hallways, everywhere. So it was awesome. Sorry for being off topic, but I'm just getting into the sport because of Undisputed. Is there a way besides YouTube to watch old fights? Yeah, I mean, YouTube is probably the best, but you could go on DAZN. If you have a DAZN subscription, you could actually dive deep into their archive. I think they bought the library from HBO. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this, but I think they have the library HBO, so you can actually go back and watch old fights on there. Going on Showtime, if you have a Showtime subscription, that's another way you could watch old Showtime fights. But DAZN has real good, deep archives in there, so I would definitely recommend a subscription on DAZN, so you can pull it out. And I'm not sponsored by DAZN in any way, shape, or form, but I do think that DAZN is a good product in the sense that for the money that you're spending per month. If you're a big boxing fan, you get a lot out of it in terms of looking at old fights, because an old fight is going to be either chopped up weird on YouTube or you're just not going to see it. But also the Top Rank YouTube channel, they have old fights on there as well. They put free fights up there as well, so you can use that as well. Jay Shep, my brother, what's going on, man? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you in here. We got something else we got to talk about too, man. We got to talk about Bob Arum and Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis. I got that loaded up. We got to talk about that, man. That's another weird thing going on right there. Canelo too small for 175. I agree. Whatever happened to HBO? They used to be the biggest platform for boxing fights for the longest. Yes, but they were when Floyd Mayweather signed that contract to go to Showtime for a 6-fight deal, that essentially tanked HBO. That really tanked HBO. They had one last hurrah with the merge of the two of Showtime and HBO to broadcast Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. But really, when that happened, it tanked. It literally tanked HBO because Mayweather took the star power over to Showtime. Before Mayweather did that, Showtime was like more like what was it? The up and coming fighters. The next generation. That's what it's called. Like Showtime Next Generation. And it was all about like the up and coming fighters, or maybe you'll get a cool fight like Rafael Marquez versus Israel Vasquez. You might get something cool that happened over there, but it was always looked at as it's the C-level stuff, while HBO is the main event stuff, right? But once Mayweather decided to do that sign that 6-fight contract, which was a genius move by Steven Espinoza to go ahead and capture Floyd Mayweather for an exclusive deal with Showtime, that changed everything for HBO, and they just went downhill after that. Unfortunately, they went downhill after that. But to me, I believe DAZN is kind of like the reincarnation of HBO, what it used to be. I mean, they have the HBO library. It's the competitor to Showtime. So at least there's something else out there, and it isn't just Showtime as the head honcho. Or ESPN also. The ESPN is one of them too. We get ESPN Top Rank pay-per-view. That's a thing. So there's actually 3 now. There's 3. ESPN is kind of more of the spiritual successor, I think, than DAZN. Actually, now thinking about it, because they have Andre Ward and those guys. I think that's more of like that spiritual successor. Both of them have an element of it's like a 50-50. They both have an element of HBO. I would probably be more inclined to watch Canelo versus Bivol 2 than Canelo and Ryder because him and Bivol have history. Exactly, yeah. It makes more sense. I think he could do better numbers with Bivol because at least he lost and this is him trying to get his revenge. And can he do it or is he going to lose again? That's all kind of hanging, in the clouds. But with Ryder, that doesn't exist. But even with that, I would say with Bivol, he will probably maybe do about 400,000 pay-per-views, maybe. And I think he needs to make a big statement. And to do that, he needs to get that Benavidez fight. I want to see Benavidez versus Bivol 100%. That's a super fight. That's a super fight right there. Whenever you guys say something that's a super fight, I'm always going to say that's a super fight because that's a super fight. Canelo doing 200K. A quick Google search says 500, 600K. No, buddy. There isn't really any official numbers out. We have internal reports, right? Glacier, whatever, his internal reports is around 200K. I don't think he would be incentivized to say that those numbers are low because he kind of leans a little bit towards Canelo doing good numbers. So I think it's around 200 something K. But once again, this doesn't mean that these are not the official numbers. These are early reports. So it could be higher. It is possible. I doubt it though. Usually these internal sources are correct. Same way the internal sources knew that it was around 1.4, 1.2 million for Tank, and they were correct. I think that these sources would be correct, but it isn't the official reporting. So we still have to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, but there are people that have said this number even within the zone itself. I think Benavidez will beat Canelo in 12, and David Morrell will beat Canelo in 12. Okay, so personally for you like both Benavidez and Morrell, so that's fine. That's fine. But I still think that the big fight, the fight that even for the casuals, I think is going to be Benavidez versus Canelo. To be real, I don't think it matters what Canelo does number-wise because long as Bud and Spence fight thus this year, that will easily be the biggest fight in the sport. That will be the biggest fight to boxing fans, but we don't know how big that will be to casual fans. I think the casual fan market is the barometer for if you're big or not, because that means you're a crossover superstar. You're a celebrity. I don't know if they can do that. I don't know if Bud and Spence could do that, to be quite honest. I just don't know. I'm trying to catch up. I might have to skip a few here to catch up. This is a little bit difficult here. Hugh Jakes, Fanatico, you got to bring back the old school all white watch, the big square shaped one. Whoa, what are you talking about? That is super mega ultra mega duper old school. That's not even from, did I even wear that nah, bro, I didn't even wear that here. I only wore that on my other channel. How throwback are you going, brother? I don't think I even wore that during the time that I was doing Boxing Fanatico, unless I'm wrong. I might have worn it. That was back in 2016, so who knows? Yo, Poe, what's going on, brother? I see you in here. Thank you for showing me love, coming to my live stream. So much appreciated coming from a legendary gentleman like yourself, Poe. All right, here we go. Mike Reburn. I remember when Mayweather Jr. ducked Paul Spadafora. Did he really duck him, though? Did he really duck him? Then Mayweather became the pick and choose fighter. Weak. Did Mayweather duck Paul Spadafora because of a video that leaked of Paul Spadafora giving Mayweather some problems in sparring? You guys do know that was taken super out of context, right? Mayweather has beaten Paul Spadafora from pillar to post so many different times. That clip that you saw is because Mayweather was coming back. It was after his retirement with the Ricky Hatton fight. He was coming back to fight Juan Manuel Marquez, and he rotated sparring partners to increase stamina, which means after every third round, he was doing multiple rounds. He was doing like 20 rounds, and after every third round, he would get a fresh new fighter in. That video was captured when he was in his final round so he's super tired, 20 rounds already, versus somebody who's fresh, who's only done 2 rounds before that round, or 3 rounds, because he was rotating sparring partners the entire time. So Mayweather does an incredible amount of stuff. He trains hard so he could fight easy. He trains really hard so he could fight easy. So that was taken super out of context. And how is Mayweather a pick and choose fighter? Mayweather, did he pick and choose to fight undefeated Ricky Hatton, who just beat Katsuzu? Did he pick and choose to fight Shane Mosley, who just beat Antonio Margarito, who had beaten Canelo, who had beaten Miguel Cotto? Did he pick and choose to fight Oscar De La Hoya at Oscar De La Hoya's weight at 154 when Mayweather's super small? He couldn't even rehydrate to any, he lost weight coming into that fight after the weigh-in. And then did he pick and choose when he fought Miguel Cotto? I mean, I don't understand how people are saying that he was picking and choosing. Did he pick and choose when he fought Canelo Alvarez? Did he pick and choose when he fought Maidana after Maidana destroyed Adrian Broner and then rematched Maidana after Maidana gave him trouble? Come on, guys. That's not picking and choosing. That's going through the gamut, bro. That's going through a gauntlet of people that are killers, man. Miguel Cotto, Canelo Alvarez, Oscar De La Hoya. After Oscar De La Hoya just beat Ricardo Mayorga. I mean, come on, guys. Come on. Let's not make up. Let's not pretend something happened that didn't happen. I know people want to say, hey, he was picking and choosing. But people would say this. Look, people would say this about Mayweather. He would go into arguments with Kenny, I forgot his name, from ESPN. And then Kenny would be like, yo, why don't you fight? Why are you not fighting Baldomir? This is real. He would say, you could go back and watch Kenny versus Floyd Mayweather regarding Carlos Baldomir or whatever. Or once when he was going to fight Zab Judah. He was about to fight Zab Judah for the IBF. Carlos Baldomir had the WBC belt. Kenny Smith, I forget his name. Brian Kenny, there you go. Hashim is my favorite guy, man. This dude always helping me out. Brian Kenny was like, yo, why don't you fight Baldomir? He's the WBC champion. He took the title from Zab Judah. And Floyd was like, nah, Zab Judah's a good fighter or whatever. Like, we're going to do this. He got the IBF title. I could fight him for that. He didn't put that on the line, so there's a title belt. Mayweather beat Zab Judah. He sets up the fight with Carlos Baldomir. And guess who interviews him? Brian Kenny. And guess what Brian Kenny says after chastising him because he ducked Zab Judah? Guess what Brian Kenny tells Floyd Mayweather? Why are you fighting Carlos Baldomir when you should be fighting Ricky Hatton? He literally told him, why is he fighting Carlos Baldomir when he should be fighting Ricky Hatton, even though he literally told him that he should be fighting Carlos Baldomir when he was fighting Zab Judah. He can't fight everybody at the same time. You got to give him time to fight one person and move on to the next person. And guess what? After he beat Carlos Baldomir, he got the payday of a lifetime to fight Oscar De La Hoya, accepted it on all terms. They did the fight. And guess who he fought after he fought Oscar De La Hoya? An undefeated Ricky Hatton. And he beat him. And then Brian Kenny just stopped interviewing Floyd Mayweather because it was becoming ridiculous at that point. All right, let's move on. Rant over. Here we go. Floyd took HBO down on the way out. Crazy because HBO was the boxing channel. Yeah, he did. He took him down. HBO lost millions off of boxing. Yeah, because Floyd Mayweather left. This guy is pushing an agenda. Canelo's on Forbes list as one of the highest paid athletes in all sports. Yes, but the Forbes list. Do you think Forbes list is looking at Canelo before the Tank fight, or Canelo after the Ryder fight, or his projected numbers, or are they looking at the last 12 months to say where Canelo ranks? After this year is over and they look at this year, then we're going to have to see. You're looking at the past. I'm not pushing an agenda. You're pushing an agenda. You're pushing a Canelo must win this argument at all costs agenda. I'm not. I like Canelo. I think Canelo's amazing. I think he's one of the best boxers in the world. I think he could be one of the best. I think he could be the best or one of the best. He's in the pound for pound list. I think he has an amazing accomplishment. I don't think anything less of him in terms of the sport itself and his skills. I'm talking about what casual boxing fans feel about the sport and who they are willing to pay for pay-per-view. And it isn't looking like it's Canelo the way it used to be. You're looking at the past. Forbes list is the past. We're talking about right now. So you trying to say I'm pushing an agenda. The person pushing an agenda is you, because I actually like Canelo Alvarez. Look at all my videos on Canelo and all the stuff that I've done in the past. I like Canelo. I don't think anything, I don't want any ill will to Canelo or think that Canelo sucks or want him to, I'm glad that I'm not doing none of that. You just want me to like Canelo the way you like Canelo and just be blind to facts. I'm not going to do that because I don't do that here. All right, Tank wears winter gloves. Winning, you talking about winnings? Winnings gloves is they usually use that for training. Boxing video game wish list. Poe in the house. HBO was also taking a lot of big projects. They had to make moves to save. Yeah. No, 100%. I agree. I know it was getting too much for them. Fanatico dropping gems and ain't touching Google. That's how you know it's real. Exactly, bro. We just drop it off the dome, bro. We just drop it off the top of the dome because we've been watching boxing since forever, since I was a little kid. So, I mean, I might forget a name, a first name, a last name here and there because there's so many boxers like in this memory here. But listen, we do this off the top of the dome. We just know boxing up in here. We know boxing on the Boxing Fanatical channel. I wish you were the guy signing boxes. Can't talk about that. All right, who has Morrell really fought? Yeah, that's the same thing. I agree. He could be showing a lot of talent, but it doesn't really mean much. I think it's more important to get the fighters that are big enough that casual fans will cross over to watch it. Paul Spadafora had the IBF belt and called Mayweather for a fight. Mayweather canceled because Paul Spadafora was going to do low numbers. If he would have fought Paul Spadafora, when Paul Spadafora called him out, he would have probably finally done under 1 million pay-per-view buys before he fought Andre Berto. So it was a good move for him not to fight Paul Spadafora. And if you're looking at Paul Spadafora, during that time, it was around the time where Miguel Cotto was also trying to fight Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather announced in court because he was going to go to jail for about 90 days, but they postponed it because with boxing, there's a unique element where you make most of your money for the year within one night. So they postponed it and they asked him, who's he going to fight? And this is when they were talking about the Paul Spadafora fight. And Floyd Mayweather said, Miguel Cotto. That's who we're going to fight. And that's who they had in the back end signing a contract with Miguel Cotto to set that fight up. So that's where it was inadvertently announced. And if you're looking at Miguel Cotto and Paul Spadafora, if he would have fought Paul Spadafora, he would have been crucified had he not fought Miguel Cotto over Paul Spadafora. But luckily for us, he chose the right one. And unlucky for you, I guess, he didn't choose Paul Spadafora, who the only positive that came from Paul Spadafora was a video of Paul Spadafora fighting Floyd Mayweather in a sparring session that was taken out of context, as Paul Spadafora was the final fighter in rotation of a 20-round training session, sparring session with Floyd Mayweather. So, no, I'm sorry. It doesn't pass the smell test. All right, did Mayweather truly beat Luis Castillo? Yes. Yes, he did. Actually, I've watched that fight so many times because I felt like the public was tricking my mind to think that Floyd had lost that fight. I remember watching the fight and thinking that Floyd won that fight easily. And I know it's crazy, but watch it. Watch the fight. I always tell people, if you think my statement is crazy, actually watch the fight. Do not watch the highlights. Don't watch the highlights because the highlights are going to be cut in different ways to make you think that he lost. And then the commentators were completely gone. They were not seeing. The thing is, Floyd was untouchable at that time. Seeing him get touched was like creating a crazy thought process in these commentators' minds. And in Harold Letterman's scoring, because it's just weird to see Floyd fight like that. Like, whoa, he's actually in a back and forth battle. But if you actually watch the fight, I couldn't find more than 3 rounds to give to Castillo. I could not find more than 3 rounds. I promise you, I promise you that I scored it. I have the scoring right here. Let's go back in time. Hold on. Scored it. I rewatched it to rescore it. See if I got it here. Floyd versus Castillo. Castillo. Scored it again back in 2019. Rewatched it, scored it again back in 2019. Gave round 1 to Floyd, round 2 to Floyd, round 3 to Floyd, round 4 to Floyd, round 5 to Floyd, round 6 to Castillo, round 7 to Floyd, round 8 to Floyd, 10-8 because he was deducted a point, round 9 to Castillo, 10-9, round 10 to 9-9 because Floyd was deducted a point, but he beat him up in that round. Round 11 to Castillo, and round 12 to Floyd, a 117-100 score, and then he beat him in the second rematch. It was easy. The fight that was truly Floyd's most difficult fight, visually speaking, was actually the Maidana fight, not the Jose Luis Castillo fight. Not at all. Actually watch it. Don't say because other people told you. Don't say because you saw a picture of him getting punched. Don't tell me because you saw him on the floor. No. Watch the fight. Actually watch the fight from the beginning bell to the end, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm tired of that narrative that he lost that fight. He didn't. If you want to say he lost the fight, the best fight you could say he lost was Maidana versus Floyd Mayweather 1. Because it took him 5 rounds to adjust to whatever craziness Maidana was doing. And that was very close, on the razor edge, like, of getting a split draw because of how dominant Maidana was in the beginning of the fight. I think that's the only fight. The rematch, he dominated Maidana. That beginning part, that was the difficult thing for him. Jose Luis Castillo, that was easy work. First time and second time. Mayweather fought a prime elite boxer at their best weight. Most were older, smaller, weight drain, or cherry picks. Oh, okay, Yimmy. You said something that I agree with. Nice. All right, Brian Kenny, we got that already. Mayweather fought guys on his own time, just like clowns today. Be avoiding #1 contenders over. Here's the thing, though. If you look at Mayweather's career, Mayweather called out everybody. But everybody did not want to fight him when he wasn't the person, where he was too much of a risk, too high risk, low reward. Mosley, after his fight with, forget the person he had just fought. I thought after his fight with Mayorga, was asked, would you fight Floyd Mayweather? He said no. He's going to go on vacation with his family. His tooth hurts. He ain't dealing with that. So he said, absolutely not. When they asked Floyd, who do you want next? He didn't go, hey, man, my team, they're going to do what they need to do, and I'm going to leave it to them. I just fight. They set up fight. No, he said, I want, even though he was on the top rank at the time, he said, I want Shane Mosley. I heard Oscar De La Hoya is coming down to 147. If he comes down to 147, I want Oscar De La Hoya. I want Casazu. None of them wanted him except Oscar De La Hoya forced him to go up to 154, thinking he wasn't going to sign. He signed, and that's how we have the Floyd Mayweather that we have today. He been wanting to fight them. It ain't his fault that they didn't want to fight him. When they wanted to fight him was when it was financially viable to fight him, and then he fought them. What else do you want from the guy? He's not all powerful going to control all these guys to fight them when they're in their prime or when they're supposed to. Same thing with Manny Pacquiao. Floyd wanted to fight Manny Pacquiao. Do you guys know that when Floyd made the contract, when Bob Arum made the contract and was sent the contract to Floyd, he thought Floyd was going to not agree with the contract because it was a 50-50 split. Everybody was like, oh man, Bob Arum just sent Floyd a proposition for a 50-50 split. And Bob Arum was publicly shown stating, if Floyd does not agree to the 50-50 split, we move on. Because that's what it's got to be. They're both the A side. And guess what Floyd did? You think he said no? No, he said accepted. I accept 50-50. He took the blow of being the A side and saying it's a 50-50. Let's do it. And this was after the Marquez fight. Mind you, Manny Pacquiao had only cracked 1 million pay-per-view buys with Oscar De La Hoya. He was close. He was doing like 780,000, 800 with Cotto and them, but he wasn't cracking 1 million as consistently as Floyd after the Marquez fight, when Floyd did 2.1 million with Oscar De La Hoya, 1.4 million with Ricky Hatton, and then did 1.1 million with Juan Manuel Marquez, and he still humbled himself so that they can make the fight happen. But the fight didn't happen because Bob Arum went back into the contract after he sent the contract. It was agreed upon by Floyd, so that means it's all good, right? It's all a go. No, he went back into the contract, saw that there was a stipulation for random blood and testing, whatever, and said, Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao doesn't like needles. We not doing the fight. And then since that point, it was big controversy with whole needles with Manny Pacquiao, because when they looked at Manny, he had a bunch of tattoos that didn't make sense. Then they said, oh, he just doesn't like blood being taken from him. That's what happened when he fought Eric Morales. They took blood from him and he did poorly. But then they show him in a 24/7 episode right before he fought Ricky Hatton, where they take blood from him like 14 days before the fight, and then they couldn't explain that away. So it was just, there was no, and then at the end of the day, they all started doing random blood tests anyways. So what was it all for? They could have fought back then. The only person that was holding it was not Floyd Mayweather. It was Bob Arum. It wasn't Manny Pacquiao. It was Bob Arum at the time. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and end it right there. 8 o'clock. I went into too many different little rants. I was supposed to show something else, but I guess we'll do it Friday. Anyways, we'll be back on Friday for Boxing Fanatico Live episode 15. And on that episode, we're going to give finally our prediction for who I think would win between Devin Haney versus Lomachenko in their upcoming bout this Saturday that I'm dying to watch. I cannot wait. It's going to be an amazing night of boxing. Yeah, I'm going to sit back, relax, watch that bad boy. But on Friday will be our episode 15 of Boxing Fanatico Live, and we're going to go ahead and talk about that on here, and we're gonna break things down. I'm gonna explain why I do think that the Lomachenko versus Devin Haney fight is going to end up the way that I predict. All right, here we go. Until the next one, guys. Peace out. Thank you so much. This was fun. I like the back and forth. I do enjoy it. It's an amazing time when you guys come in. I don't want to just have people that just say, one thing. I don't mind having people come in and challenging what I think about boxing, what I think about the landscape of boxing, what I think about different fighters. All right, until the next one, peace out, guys. All love.